In 822 AD, an Islamic physician named Ibn Sina, the man Western medicine calls Avicenna, wrote a sentence that has echoed across 14 centuries of human history. He wrote, "Black seed heals every disease except death." Now, you can dismiss that as ancient mysticism if you want. That's exactly what the pharmaceutical industry is counting on. Because here's the thing, modern researchers have now published over 1,000 peer-reviewed studies on black seed, Nigella sativa. 1,000 studies. And the findings are extraordinary. Anti-tumor properties, anti-diabetic effects, antimicrobial action against antibiotic-resistant bacteria, neuroprotective compounds, immune modulation. And yet, you've probably never been told about this by your doctor. It's not in your hospital's treatment protocol. It never trended on mainstream health media. Stay with me until the end of this video, and I'm going to show you exactly why a plant with over 1,000 scientific studies behind it remains almost invisible in Western medicine, and what the research actually says. Let's go back. Nigella sativa, black seed, black cumin, or habatus sauda in Arabic, is a flowering plant native to the Mediterranean and Southwest Asia. Its seeds have been used medicinally for at least 3,300 years. We know this because archaeologists found black seeds in Tutankhamun's tomb. In ancient Egypt, black seed was considered so important that it was buried with a pharaoh, placed among the objects he would need in the afterlife. The ancient Egyptians used it for headaches, toothaches, respiratory problems, and as a general tonic. The Greeks picked it up. The Romans used it extensively. Islamic medicine codified it. Ibn Sina's Canon of Medicine, written in the 11th century and used as a primary medical text in European universities until the 17th century, dedicated entire sections to Nigella sativa's therapeutic uses. He documented its effects on respiratory conditions, digestive problems, parasites, and inflammation. For nearly 2,000 years across the Middle East, North Africa, South Asia, and the Mediterranean, black seed was a staple of both kitchen and medicine cabinet. It was never separated from daily life. Then Western pharmaceutical medicine emerged, and everything that couldn't be isolated, synthesized, and patented was quietly reclassified as folk medicine, a polite way of saying, ignore this. Let me give you the science, because this is where it gets genuinely remarkable. The primary active compound in black seed is thymoquinone, TQ. And thymoquinone has been studied intensively since the 1960s. Cancer research, multiple studies, including research published in journals like Cancer Research and Oncology Letters, have demonstrated thymoquinone's ability to trigger apoptosis in cancer cells. That means it signals cancer cells to self-destruct. It has shown this effect against pancreatic cancer cells, breast cancer cells, colon cancer cells, and leukemia cells in laboratory settings. Antibiotic resistance. A 2010 study tested black seed oil against methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, MRSA, one of the most dangerous antibiotic-resistant bacteria we face. Black seed oil inhibited MRSA in a significant proportion of tested strains. At a time when antibiotic resistance is one of the greatest threats to global health, a $2 bottle of cold-pressed black seed oil was outperforming some synthetic antibiotics in laboratory conditions. Diabetes. Multiple clinical trials on actual human beings, not just lab rats, have shown black seed supplementation reduces fasting blood glucose, HbA1c levels, and insulin resistance markers. A meta-analysis published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology reviewed 23 randomized controlled trials and confirmed significant blood sugar-lowering effects. Neurological protection. Thymoquinone has demonstrated neuroprotective properties in multiple studies, reducing oxidative stress in brain tissue, inhibiting the formation of amyloid plaques associated with Alzheimer's disease, and improving memory markers in animal models. 1,000 studies. The data is there, sitting in peer-reviewed journals, accessible to anyone. So why don't you know about this? The answer is structural, not conspiratorial. Just structural. The pharmaceutical industry runs on patents. You cannot patent a plant. You cannot patent thymoquinone. It exists in nature. To make money, you need to isolate a compound, modify its molecular structure slightly, file a patent, run clinical trials, get EFTA approval, and then charge $200 a pill for something that grew in a garden for 3,000 years. Several companies have attempted exactly this with thymoquinone derivatives. They've modified the molecule, filed patents, the research is ongoing. Because the moment they have a patentable synthetic version, the studies will suddenly get funded. The press releases will go out, your doctor will hear about it at a conference sponsored by the company. And 5 years later, TQ derivative X will be prescribed for immune disorders at $180 per month. Until that day, the incentive to publicize the natural source doesn't exist. In fact, the incentive runs the other direction. Every bottle of black seed oil sold is a patient who didn't buy a prescription. The structure of medical education reinforces this. Doctors receive almost no training in botanical medicine. Not because it doesn't work, but because there's no commercial infrastructure pushing it into the curriculum. No pharmaceutical sales rep visits a GP's office to talk about Nigella sativa. The knowledge isn't banned. It's just systematically starved of the promotional oxygen that every synthetic drug receives automatically. Stay until the very end. I'm going to tell you what to actually look for when buying black seed oil, because most of what's on the market right now is almost useless. Black seed has been consumed daily by hundreds of millions of people across the Middle East and South Asia for generations, not as a medicine taken in crisis, but as a daily food. Mixed into bread, sprinkled on flatbread, stirred into honey. A teaspoon of oil each morning. This is the traditional model. Low dose, continuous, preventative. Modern research broadly supports this. The studies showing the most significant effects tend to use doses between 1 and 3 grams of black seed oil daily, which is roughly half a teaspoon to a teaspoon. Not heroic doses, not pharmaceutical doses. Amounts that fit naturally into food. The critical thing when buying black seed oil is cold pressing. Thymoquinone is heat sensitive. Most commercially produced black seed oil is solvent extracted or expeller pressed at high temperatures, which degrades the active compounds significantly. Look for cold pressed, first press, stored in dark glass. Ideally with a thymoquinone percentage listed, genuine high-quality oil should contain at least 0.5 to 1.5% thymoquinone. The seeds themselves, whole, used in cooking, are another option. Less concentrated than oil, but more stable, and with a gentler effect profile. Used in bread, rice dishes, and salads across Middle Eastern cuisine for thousands of years. Honey and black seed is a classic traditional combination. Ibn Sina specifically recommended it. Modern research has confirmed that both compounds have synergistic antimicrobial properties. 14 centuries ago, a physician wrote that this seed heals everything except death. Modern science has published over 1,000 studies and found he wasn't far wrong. And yet here we are, in the most medically advanced society in human history, and your doctor has probably never mentioned it. That gap between what the science says and what medicine practices is exactly what this channel exists to document. If that matters to you, subscribe. A new lost remedy every week, and I'll see you in the next one.